Hello and welcome to episode 7 of the Park Avenue podcast. We're here with Rob Leatherberry.
Hello.
Our special guest Brian Scott, first time on the podcast, fellow soapy teamster and old-timey friend.
Yes, that's true.
And me, Tyler Mays, of course, and Neale Chamberlain. Well, Rob was telling us earlier that his boss was trying to recruit him into being a Christian.
How was that?
This was in your work van. It happened.
No,
Rob was telling me about it, and he said
it
it
was
happened.
in the work van?
It was in the work van on the way back from
in the back of
Charlottesville,
the work
right?
van?
Was it
like
in his car?
a Bible
but-
study?
But on the way back from Charlottesville, where it was like a 2-hour, hour and a half
Yeah, I can tell you what happened.
trapped
Rob,
situation.
you're rubbing your head. Was this a traumatic experience?
Very traumatic.
Oh,
No,
this might help you.
we're riding back from Charlottesville, and I've been supervising jobs for about like a month or a month and a half, and I don't like doing it, mainly because the way the company is run and stuff. So, we're riding along, and he goes, so, let me ask you, how do you feel about supervising? I said, well, tell you the truth, I don't really like doing it. It's stressful, and, I've got anxiety.
You don't like ordering people around?
I don't mind that. I don't like...
Every time I've been
The
offered
way-
like a manager position, I've turned it down like that.
I don't like the way... I don't like the way my boss runs shit, and it's annoying.
I don't want that extra responsibility.
Yeah, you also get extra money, and you get to tell people what to do.
It's awesome.
Well, at some jobs...
Yeah, but you did this for Todd, and you ended up quitting because it was...
I didn't quit.
Well, what was it exactly he said to you that, I remember you said something about your life, I guess, and he said that it was because you didn't have God in your life.
Yeah, well, okay. What I was saying before I was interrupted,
Snarky.
is that, he told me that the reasons I had anxiety and, ADD and all these other things was because I lacked God in my life. And
God
when
cures
I
things
accept
like
God, I won't have the fear. There'll be no more fear in my life.
The
and,
fear. That's with the capital F.
I'll finally be at peace.
That's the fear of the devil. You won't have that fear anymore, Robert.
Yeah.
I always thought the phrase
The devil's
God-fearing...
whispering to you.
I always thought the phrase God-fearing was really weird because I was raised in a Methodist church that was... Well, I didn't go to St. Mark's the whole time when I was a kid. I started probably going there when I was in 5th grade. But... So for most of my life, I was going to St. Mark's, which is like a slack-ass Methodist church where it's like, you kind of believe whatever you want. We're just, everyone here is a Christian, and there's no...
As long as you love a little Jesus.
I failed the confirmation exam, and they still confirmed it.
They gave you an exam?
Yeah, it was an oral exam, 3 questions that the Reverend would ask you, and I got all 3 of them wrong. Yeah, in Catholic churches, it's like fucking a much more serious thing. In the Methodist church, it's like, are you a Christian? Yeah. Are you sure? Yeah. And you're like, all right, cool, welcome to the church.
And you failed those
And I
2
failed
questions?
3 questions. It was like, who's the founder of the Methodist church? And I was like, David something?
Jimmy John.
Maybe? I don't even know if that's right now. And he was like, oh, that's close. And then the second question... I totally fucking... One of them, I had no clue what the fucking... I was like, well, I don't know what you're talking about.
What was the question?
I don't know what the question was that I didn't know the answer to, but...
Question?
I don't know. It was like fucking 11 years ago, probably. It was like 14. But that whole church and like our youth group was just one big... Just group of teenagers hanging out, making sex jokes and doing inappropriate shit.
At church?
And like... Yeah,
youth groups are ridiculous. They suck.
a couple blowjobs happened without, and some weed selling.
Drug use.
You bought weed at church?
No, not me. Not me, but people got in trouble for it.
Rob bought weed at church.
Yeah. And I did weed behind church.
Rob did,
You did weed?
Smoked weed.
Did some weed tonight.
I did some weed behind the church.
Rob, didn't you used to drive around? You told your mom you were going to youth group or something.
Yeah, and I
just
would drive around
and get high
smoking weed. Yeah, because I hated youth group, man.
and just not go to it. That's awesome.
You were in a youth group since you've had a car?
Oh, I didn't even think about that. You were like
At
fucking
that
16.
age level?
Yeah.
Pussy.
I didn't. It wasn't my choice. I didn't go to youth group.
It's so
For
ridiculous.
the last like 4 months that my mom thought I went to youth group, I would just take her car out and smoke weed.
It's a good
for an
excuse.
hour
You know
and
what's
a half.
you know what's funny? Whenever I make some like church reference or something that I think every white white American male would know, basically. Like sometimes Brian will be like, I don't know what that is, and probably Neale too.
No, yeah.
Rob usually knows. And when I was at my great aunt's funeral today, and I was thinking about how weird it is that almost everyone there was raised in a Christian church. So when the reverend would start saying a prayer, we all just knew what the fuck it was, and we would start saying it. And I'm sitting there saying it too. I'm like, I don't even believe in this, but I'm at a Christian funeral and I know all this. It's like instinctual for me. And I was sitting there, and as I'm at the funeral, I'm thinking, Brian Scott, I actually thought of you when I'm sitting there fucking at the funeral. And I'm like, Brian Scott would be like, this is so weird. All these people are like mumbling these prayers. We were all like half-heartedly saying them. No one was saying them loud. It was like, and I will be taken care of by the Lord. My cup will run over. And it was just like the weirdest, like somber. It sounded so, just so strange for everyone to. I guess it's a funeral, so you're not going to be really.
I've never been
What
to
did
a
that have to
funeral.
do with me?
Oh, I thought about how. I started to think about how weird it is that everyone there, as soon as the Reverend would start to say a prayer, we all knew what the words were. And then I was thinking about how it's weird that we all were brought up in that environment, but so many people aren't. And then that made me think of you and how you never, if I like say something that I think everyone would know, but of course they wouldn't, some church reference, you're like, I don't know what that is. So you popped into my head because I was thinking about people that would look at us and be like, this is like some sort of cult thing. Like all these people mumbling these prayers, and like, it's just so strange.
Fucking Christians.
Yeah, it sucks. I've never even been to like, I don't know. I've never been to a funeral, and I've never even been to like
Really?
any
I've been
kind
to
of
quite a
like
few
real
funerals.
church kind of service.
I've been to quite a few funerals
Suck.
and quite a few church services. Yeah.
So boring.
The only reason I liked going to St. Mark's was because of Reverend Atkins. He was a cool guy. But other than that, it's just a bunch of bullshit, basically.
Glad I
And
didn't have to deal
for a
with it.
while, youth group was fun because basically all my friends went to it, like Kyle and Erica and Angela.
And
So
you
it was
did
like,
drugs and
I don't know. No,
smoked
not
pussy.
Angela. Never mind. But Erica. No, I know. Like I considered taking weed with me on one mission trip when I was in 12th grade, going to Pittsburgh. Did I go after 12th grade? No, after 11th grade. And I considered taking weed with me, and I was like, it's too risky. But I was like, I could totally get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, go into the bathroom, take a waterfall, get high, and then get back into the little bunk area and be totally fine. But I don't think I could have gotten away with that. I think I maybe could have pretended I was sick
That
during
would
the
have been a
church
bad
service or
place
something.
to get caught.
Yeah, but
Oh,
it would
yeah,
have
that
been
would-
pretty badass, though.
I would have
It's
laid
not like
it
they
there
would have
like,
called the cops on you. They would have been like, you don't need cops, you need Jesus.
this is what they told us
Yeah,
at
but
the
they'd
start
be
of
pretty
every week.
disappointed in Tyler Mays.
That's true. Oh man, yeah. Parents,
People like Tyler Bates.
yeah,
with
older,
little
middle-aged
Tyler
people,
Bates, yeah.
middle-aged. Because I'm not a bad person, so as long as these middle-aged people don't know that I smoke weed a whole lot and everything, then they're gonna think just fine of me. They're
Well,
gonna
you're-
think I'm a good kid.
You're polite.
Because I was nice to them. I never caused anybody any trouble, really. I just wanted to be left alone so I could get high. Was my deal. So that was fine. What are we talking about old people liking me for? How did we get onto
I
that
don't
whole
know.
subject?
Oh,
Just
no.
happened. Who cares?
Yeah.
No, but all the people, they trusted me at that church. But that, so there
Oh,
was-
you got. No, I don't remember.
there were people that would walk up to my parents and be like, telling them how great they thought I was, like older people, and I'd be like, I don't even know who that is. And they'd be like, we've watched him at youth group. He's always helping, picking up plates off the tables and everything. I'm like, and that's just normal shit. Like,
Is that what
I didn't save a baby or anything. I'm just picking. It's like, aren't people supposed to like help pick up stuff that they make a mess with?
So Methodism is just like the polite religion.
It's supposed to. I think Methodists are probably the least judgmental Christians you can come across, except for maybe like Quakers and stuff like that, like the ultra liberal Christians. like Unitarians, or maybe not
I think
Unitarian
Episcopalians are
Universalist or whatever it is. They're pretty.
Episcopalians are pretty judgmental from my
I worked at an
experience.
Episcopal church, and
They
there was a
drink-
whole lot of drinking
Drinking a lot,
and swearing.
yeah.
Though
They like to drink, but
I would hear
That's
them.
funny because when I was on the plane back from Houston, there was some woman reading a Bible, and then when the people came by to give you drinks, she ordered a gin and tonic, and I was like, that's kind of weird because maybe you're an alcoholic, and I don't know who ordered that's an expensive drink, and the flight was only 2 hours long.
I don't know. A lot of people drink on airplanes.
Before Johnny and I went to Amsterdam, he had
This
fucking.
wasn't first class or anything. Though.
Well, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Johnny drank a bunch of whiskey before we fucking went to.
This was
Amsterdam.
on the plane though.
I know.
And then she
Drank
hurried
more
off
on
the plane.
Yeah. Oh.
That's why he
Maybe
could sleep
she
the whole
hurried
fucking
off
time.
the plane.
So she could go brush her teeth so no one would know that she was an alcoholic.
Man,
I don't know. It was weird though.
I just felt so sad about that situation, but it was all speculation.
me too.
Oh, that was a little rhyme there. Situation speculation. But yeah, going back to your boss trying to recruit you in and like telling you that you don't have Jesus in your life, and that's why you're so sad. I've heard that.
You told him to fuck off, right?
So yeah, what did you just keep
Dude,
him?
it was so awkward because in my head, I was telling him why. I was like, well, I guess I call myself agnostic.
Oh, yeah.
Bullshit.
It's always
And, he was telling me about him. He was a mess when he was my age or younger or whatever. He was like, one time I tripped on mushrooms for 3 days. I thought I had lost my mind, and I was like, that happened to me too, man. It was on acid, and I
6
was
months
like,
ago.
man, I was working for you at the time. I was like, man, I'm gonna have to call Todd on Monday and be like, man, I can't work for you anymore. I have to go to a hospital. I'm insane because somebody
that sucks.
put a drug in me, and
someone put a drug in me. Some scientist.
He was like, yeah, my roommate was hanging off of his bed upside down making weird noises, and I just ended up balled up, curled up in a ball, and just
Who are you talking about hanging?
my boss was talking about when he was
Oh, I thought you were saying that your roommate was hanging upside down,
No.
and I was like, me or who? Michael? I didn't know.
You were watching a movie with me.
Yeah, I had to take care of Rob when he had way too much acid, and I had no clue at first that's what was happening. So when he texted me from his room when I was in my room right next to him.
I've had to
and
call
said,
you for that issue.
I've taken care. I've helped you both out. You had too much acid in your system.
How much is too much?
I don't know.
You never know.
Here's what Rob did.
That's the weird thing about acid.
Here's
I
what
guess.
Rob did, and I've read about how this is a bad idea. Rob took his little eyedropper or whatever, and you filled it up with water, right, and then drank that.
Yeah,
and
it
that's
was- it was
way more
empty.
acid than you think.
It was
Supposedly.
empty at the time, and
But there's stuff
It was
like
probably
on the walls.
several hits.
Yeah. Rob's done plenty of acid before, and for Rob to be this fucked up, I think Rob did. I don't know. What's the most you've ever done that you know?
I don't know. When I got that little dropper, I did 7 hits in one night.
Well, then you
But-
must have been
I
over 10
handled
maybe
that
or
all right.
something. You were... So this is what happened. Rob texted me from his bedroom and was like, can you come in here? I'm surprised you could text that. You must have been looking at your phone and been like, I don't know if this information will send. It must have been such a weird thing for you to fucking do.
Probably difficult.
I just mean my mind would have been blown that I can send this digital message or whatever across fucking space to your phone in the next room. So Rob texts me that, and I'm sitting in my room and I read it and I go, are you fucking kidding me? I say that out loud so Rob can hear me. And then I get up and walk down the hallway and I kick Rob's door open, and it slams against the wall, and I just stand there staring at him because I don't know that he's fucked up. And Rob's sitting there in his bed with his covers up to his neck, and he looks kind of terrified. And then when I'm just staring at him, he gets this hilarious look on his face where I thought he was totally joking, like this cartoonish scared look, like, oh. And he lifts the covers up over, partly over his chin, and I'm just staring at him. I go, what's up? And he's like, I think I did too much acid. So
God.
he was telling me He was like, I was watching Horton Hears a Who, and they were walking across the bridge or something, and I imagined that I was on the bridge, and I was like, and I was holding him up, I was holding the elephant up, and I couldn't let him fall down. I had to hold him up. And it was so exhausting. It was so exhausting.
Yeah,
and he's laying in his bed talking about this, and I'm like, what have you been going through? He's like living in the movie he's watching. And he was like, you gotta like, help me out here. So we talked for a while, and then I was like, once we talked about life and stuff like that to like, I guess ease Rob's crazy mind being on that much acid, then we watched The Office. And for probably an hour and a half or something, I was like, I'm gonna smoke weed and we're gonna watch The Office. So we watched whatever episode it is where they drive the car into the lake because the GPS tells Michael to take a right, and so he does it right away and goes into the lake. And then Rob is sitting there laughing, and he goes, I can't believe this is American comedy. And I'm like, oh God, I wish I could see this from the level you're seeing it at right now. Like, understanding this on this whole different plane of existence. Like, this is American comedy. I'm fucking tripping so I can see how, like, what this means in a different way. So, that was, I wish I could have fucking experienced that. That was the same night.
I was about to say, Rob didn't seem like he had a good time.
No, I don't wish I could have experienced.
Maybe he could have just taken 5 hits.
I don't wish I could have experienced Rob's state of tripping, but I wish I could have been tripping at the same moment and seen that and understood what Rob was saying on some different fucking plane. But, so I had to take care of Rob that night. Eventually I was like, you gonna be alright? I'm going to sleep. I was kind of worried that you were going to still freak out or something, but I guess.
I was freaking out the entire night. It was terrifying.
I should have stayed up, but...
After you went to bed, do you remember me coming into your room and like, can I have some weed?
Can I snuggle with you?
I lost my weed, and you were like, just take my bag, and I like picked up your bag, and it's like a quarter of mid-grade. It was shit, but I'm like, I got all this weed, and I was like, no, I can't do that. I'm going to put this down. I'm just going to take some out of that.
I can't do that.
I woke up the next morning. I had weed and like just sitting on like chairs and tables in like 6 different places in my room. I was just a mess that entire night.
Oh yeah, I remember I woke up the next day. Oh my God, I remember this. I had forgotten, but I woke up the next day and Rob was covered in black pastels. When you came in my room, what do they call it? The little oil pastels, the black ones. That Rob was like, "Can you give me some paper and something to draw with? I need to write stuff down and draw." And I was like, "All right, take this stuff." So the next morning, I went, and Rob's got his own handprints on his body.
I remember that.
Rob got all tribal,
and he had stuff black on his face and stuff, and he was just like, like these marks all over him, and he had all these pieces of paper all over the room with these weird fucking drawings and half of sentences, like the middles of sentences, where he'd probably been like, I'm thinking about something, and then he'd be like, I gotta write this, but he's so fucked up that he'd only write like, so then we've got to go to the store and see what it's like to, and then that'd just be the end of it. See what it's like to what, Rob? You'd be like, I don't know. But there might be another card with the end of that somewhere. I'd be like, it just scattered all over the fucking room. These weird little fucking cave drawings and shit that you'd done on these cards. And I'd given you index cards and oil pastels, and you had just taken the black.
You regressed as a human that
and
night.
You just fucking...
It was like little caveman.
Rob, I remember for at least another day after that, you still had the stuff all over your body, and you didn't wash it off or anything. You were still like recovering from the trip. And you were just like, oh, it's so great though I've been tripping before and like not drawn all over myself, but like taking my shirt off and rolled my pants up, taking my shoes off and covered myself in leaves and been like regressing back to some wood shit, some caveman type things. And it felt great. That's when my neighbor looked over at me. I was in the front yard of my parents' house at Mowbray. I look over, I've got leaves in my hair, and I've covered my lap in leaves, and I'm pulling leaves towards me. It's the middle of the fall, and I'm tripping on mushrooms with Nicole, and I'm pulling all these leaves around me. I look over, and there's my neighbor just staring at me.
God,
like,
that would
what the fuck is he doing? And I just stood up and walked in the house. I was like, I gotta get the fuck out of here.
We wouldn't stare at that. We just watched the whole show about crazy people.
I have this... I have this picture of me tripping that day where I don't like. It's so lucky, I guess, how we took the picture and like the wallpaper and stuff, because it looks, when you look at it, you kind of feel like you're tripping. Just the way that it looks, it looks like, you know, the way you'd see things when you were tripping, and you can see that my pupils are all huge and I'm leaning against a wall like, oh my god. It was so fucking great trip. I miss doing that shit.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
I know, all this talk is making me want to like go do some drugs.
It's been a long fucking time since I've eaten mushrooms. I'll never go for acid again after that whole one-time fiasco. What are you doing, Robert? What are you stealing?
Nothing.
He's trying to steal my car.
No, my keys are just making noise.
So you think you are going to become a Christian now because of the fear?
The fear is a big driving factor, but...
You think you can resist the Christians? What if they come
Yeah.
after you?
They'll just come after me with kindness.
You think you can resist the kindness?
And some smiles and maybe a hug. I can resist
What if they
that.
offer you some money?
Yeah, what if you
I'll
get
be
paid?
a Christian for money.
Shit, yeah.
For real.
Depends on how much money,
What if
because
they
you have to
offer
deal
you
with a
money?
lot of bullshit with Christianity.
Rob and I like to drive past the right-wing Christians outside of the abortion clinic on Grove and boo at them.
I like to poop on
Flick them
them.
off.
Well, Rob likes to be vulgar. I just like to go boo.
Yeah, you should yell at them.
You
I like
should throw
to boo.
water balloons at them.
You should piss
Put
on them.
little babies in them.
Yeah.
Put little babies in a water balloon.
That's a great idea.
And then-
That
So
would
when
be
it hits them,
pretty
they go, "Oh my
hilarious.
god, a water balloon!" They look down, and they go, "Oh my god, a penis!" And then you just ruin their day in two different ways.
That would be the best idea ever.
I think that's a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it
Where are
is.
we gonna get these aborted babies?
Yeah, can we go into the dumpster?
Oh yeah, the dumpster of
Dumpster.
the.
Just gotta get back there.
No, real babies, that might be like super criminal.
So we.
So we want to put fake ones in there?
I think we should get like
just
6-month-old
make
babies.
little. No, that's too big.
That's too big.
They don't care how.
Balloons with babies inside of them.
All right, maybe we can have one
Like-
super
like,
water balloon.
Or like
What?
the balloons, like blow up balloons. What's it called?
Water balloons?
No, like just
Helium
blown up
balloons?
air balloons, like that are striped. Forget what they're called.
I have no idea.
How
I
many
don't know.
different names of balloons are there?
I don't know. These are like for when you like hit them into a crowd or something.
Beach balls?
Yeah, beach ball. Thank you. Thank you. Well, no, that's what I'm talking about. We put 6 months old
No, I know what you're talking about.
into beach balls
Yeah.
and then throw them.
But they won't pop. And
Oh,
no one will
yeah.
know that there's a baby
But
inside.
the baby's bouncing
No,
around.
get a clear one.
It'll be a clear one.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. All right. Okay.
That would be fun,
All right.
right?
So-
Yeah. If
All
I
right,
just
let's make
spit
a
it
pact
out.
right now on the Park Avenue podcast that
We're gonna do this.
And we will get.
Watch the news, guys.
Yep. We,
No way this
FAC
doesn't make the
12.
news.
It totally would make
We're going after the corner Christians. Those people, like, have their priorities way fucking skewed. There's way worse things than fucking abortion
Obviously.
in the world. And they stand out there almost every day. Well, they seem to be out there a lot more now. They didn't used to be out there all the
I
time.
think
But
it's, is it
Well,
Lent?
well, this
Or
whole
no,
shit
it's
with
not
the
Lent.
fucking government deciding on its budget, or you couldn't decide on its budget because of funding for Planned Parenthood and
Yeah.
like, environmental things.
I read today that the budget.
Things should be totally separate.
Yeah,
Like,
the
the
budget.
budget does not. It shouldn't have that much to do with social issues. They're two completely different things.
The budget agreement that I was reading about today supposedly it allowed to continued funding for Planned Parenthood, but you couldn't have money for government money for abortions in Washington D.C. anymore. That was the trade-off, and I
What?
was like, "What the fuck?" So now the women in Washington D.C. don't get to have. Or at
That's
least the clinics,
weird.
clinics that have federal money, helping their clinics. But the rest of the country, you still get your funding for Planned Parenthood.
Well, you can
what
go
kind of
to
weird ass
you can
trade-off
drive
is that?
to another state and have like an abortion in like your third trimester.
It's so
Ew.
fucking weird.
I don't know. There
shouldn't wait
should
that
be a
long.
limit.
Well, yeah, that's a long time. You should be like, oh, I fucked up yesterday. Let's take care of it
Yeah.
today.
You go
Yeah,
get the pill.
that's
yeah.
true. I mean, yeah, there's a certain point where it feels like you should have. If you're gonna do that, you should have done that a while back.
Yeah, they're pretty lazy.
Yeah.
But you gotta, I guess, I don't know. It's hard to draw a fucking line anywhere, so I guess you don't. You just assume that most people aren't that fucked up that they're like, I'm gonna abort this 8-month-old baby. I don't think it really happens that often.
That would be absurd.
Yeah, I doubt that happens nearly as much as like anti-abortion.
Well, you're
people
gonna
probably
ruin
try to
like
make it
3
think.
people's lives instead of 2 if you have the baby. You know, like.
Oh yeah, I know. It's amazing how the same people that insist that these babies are born are also the same people that are totally against fucking government help for people that have.
I
kids
love
and
government help.
and can't take care of them. Like, you people are fucking crazy. I remember when I went to VCU, there were these anti-abortion people. Well, it was just the general crazy Christians that had the signs like, these people are going to hell, and it would have like a list of people that they thought were going to hell. So I go up to these 2 kids that are handing out like anti-abortion stuff, and their father's like on the other side of the compass, and I stop my bike and I'm like, why don't you kids spend your time like speaking out against wars or something like that kills people that's already alive? And they go, well, we don't like war. And I go, then why the hell don't you talk about that? And the dad sees me from across the compass talking to the kids and like, obviously being belligerent to them, I guess. Just remember the compass on VCU's campus? Between the library and Schaefer?
At first I thought it was a metaphor. But
Nope, the compass on the ground.
I thought he was
Yeah, me too.
I thought it was
I thought you were talking about political
compass.
compass.
Oh, no. He was on the other side of the compass.
That's what I thought.
Nope, no. Let me clarify. He was on the other side of the VCU compass that is on the ground. So he starts to walk
Final
over
Four
quickly.
participant VCU?
And right as he fucking walks up,
Yay, VCU. Good job.
Really?
Final Four.
Yeah.
We haven't cast
We've
it
been
since
talking
the
about
events.
this shit for like 10 years now.
Yeah.
Or not now. Or 10 years.
From
so the guy came up and
today.
yelled at me. Now,
So proceed.
VCU.
Oh, Tyler.
What, Nelson?
No, proceed with your story.
That was it. I was on my bike and the guy came up and started to fuss at me, and I just rode my bike
Fuss?
off. Yeah, he started fussing at me
Like
like
your mom
Yep.
fusses at you?
yeah, he was a douchebag. He started coming up and
You
fussing
call
at
your
me.
mom a douchebag?
No, I said he was a douchebag. Oh, I guess I did kind of say that my mom fusses like a douchebag, but I didn't mean it. Oh, I couldn't believe the people that would come up to our campus and sit there with their bullhorns and be like, "This is the most sadistic, sinful campus in America." And I'd be like, "VCU, really? Like, where have I been when all the super sadistic, sinful shit's been going on?"
Is there a Satan worship class?
There must be.
That would
I
be
had
cool.
so
There's
many.
a little bit of everything at VCU.
I had several conservative-leaning professors, so I think this whole bullshit that professors are all left-wing, communist basically is what right-wingers like to say.
I love
Complete
communists.
I had teachers in my religions classes that would tell me like, all right, we're going to treat the Bible like it's literal truth. We're not going to fuss over whether it's true or not. We're just going to take it as truth and historical fact. And I'm like, well, you can't do that because it's not.
Yeah.
That's fucking ridiculous to talk about it like that. But I don't know. So one time this guy protesting at VCU had a shirt on that said "Protect our children from homosexuals," and it had an AK-47 on it. No, and like an M16 or something like that. And I walked up to
Holy
him.
shit.
Was he gonna shoot the homos?
That's what I walked up to him. I was pissed off when I saw that shirt. And I walked in. He's got this big beard. He's probably like 5'6", probably 300 pounds. He's like this
What?
fucking big fucking. He's short but really fat. And he's
People
got
that big can't even walk.
Sure he can.
That's
300
short
Five-
and that fat.
5'6"?
They just waddle.
Yeah, he's pretty fat.
That's fucking huge.
Okay, 275 pounds and 5'8". I
That's
don't
better.
fucking know. He's short and really fat. I think you can be 5'6" and 300 pounds and still walk.
Not fast.
Not. I didn't say he walked fast. He was a very fat man on the VCU campus. with a shirt on that said "Protect our children from homosexuals" with a machine gun on it, and I walked up to him and said, "What's that shirt supposed to mean?" And he said, "Shirt speaks for itself." And I was like, oh, what a great and very intelligent sentence there. So I said, "So you're saying that you want to shoot homosexuals?" And he said, "Shirt speaks for itself. Shirt speaks for me." And I'm like, you are a fucking douchebag. I wanted to punch him in his face.
Is that what you said to him? You're scared. You were a pussy-like?
I called him something. I said, "You're an asshole," or a douchebag or something. I don't know exactly what I said.
I hope
But
so.
I was not scared of this fat, short man.
He
I
could
could've
never
punched
catch
him.
you.
He's kind of a little old, too. Yeah, I could get a punch in the face and run
You
off.
think you'd kick him in his knee and then run off?
I can't
Oh,
believe
you
there are
could probably
people
get him
that
on the
spend...
ground.
You couldn't
pretty
kick him in
easily.
his nuts because I'm sure his gut hung over his dick. The way you're describing him
He had to
fat,
protect
dude.
Man, there are people that wake up some mornings and they're like, "All right, get the big signs about who's going to hell. We're going down to the VCU campus today. Let them queers know
That's
who's
funny.
going to burn with Satan." And they're like, "Okay, Dad." And they go and get their signs, and it's like, "You're going to hell if you're A." And then it's got like a colon, and it's like, "A faggot." Adulterer. Immigrant. Illegal immigrant, or something like that. What's the other, like, liar, traitor, just witch, all this ridiculous shit
Random
over and over again. Lesbian.
thing.
They already said faggot, and then they have lesbian
I
later
think
on.
you
in the
should
thing,
go to
too.
hell if you're a dumbass.
What's the word for people that have butt sex? What's that
Sodomites.
word? Sodomites.
Oh.
Sodomites is is on there every time. All sorts of funny stuff. Sometimes there's really funny ones like not single mothers. What is it? Something about women who have kids out of wedlock or something like that. But it's not like
Women with bastards?
it's like it's probably like not belligerent women. That's the only fucking word I can think of. What's the word for people that
I don't know.
promiscuous
Yeah.
promiscuous women? Promiscuous men's not on there though.
Yeah, I know.
That guy's like, "I would like all of you women to come join my flock and have sex with me. I'm your religious leader." You guys ever read about, what is it, Jonestown? Was that
Yeah.
that fucking shit?
Yeah.
That shit.
That was pretty
I
crazy.
love hearing about that and reading about that, seeing shows on it, because that guy
People
was
were
so
s-
fucking nuts. And there were
Man,
people crazy
were
enough
so
to...
dumb.
Yeah, and there were people that were crazy enough to when he was like, "We're all gonna kill ourselves," they were like enforcing it on other people.
Yeah.
There were people like crying and being like, "I don't want to die."
Yeah,
and they're
like a
like,
whole compound.
there's this horrible fucking scene in the documentary I saw on the History Channel where they have the audio of this woman and like pictures, I guess. I don't know. I guess there were pictures. I don't know who the fuck was taking pictures when all this was happening. But maybe it was like
a smart person.
I guess it was a recreation or something like that. But they had the audio, and this woman was crying and saying that she was like resisting taking it, and then they held her down and made her drink the poison, and then she started fucking bawling knowing that she was about to die. They
That
just
sucks.
forced her to drink this fucking poison. I'm like, what the fuck? How do you become so fucking brainwashed? I guess you go kind of crazy. I guess that was the point of him putting them in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Was it in South America?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so.
Middle of nowhere in South America, and like they can't go anywhere. They don't know where the fuck they are other than the home you've made for
And
them.
where were they originally
Brainwashed
from?
them. Like all these were Americans, I think. Well, not all of them, but probably most of them. But yeah, they were. That's why like a U.S. senator came to like inspect it and be like, "I gotta make sure our citizens aren't being like fucked with
Yeah,
by this
didn't they
guy."
kill
And
him?
then they fucking killed him. I don't think.
Yeah.
I think it was congressman actually. He might have been. I don't know which one he was.
I
but-
think he was a
I mean,
senator.
a representative is what I meant. But
I think it was a
you
senator.
think it was a senator? And they fucking shot him. They killed him. That's crazy. Like, I guess he was going back to be like, we gotta take care of this shit because this guy's fucking nuts.
Yeah.
The audio that they have of him sitting there and fucking saying all this shit to his people, like, they're never gonna leave us alone. They're always gonna be coming after us. We're not gonna let them take us. We're gonna take ourselves or something. And they're fucking. And then as he's sitting there in his little fucking throne in some South American wasteland, I don't like the History Channel made it look like it was pretty arid. Is that the right word?
Suicide is
them?
so fucking pussy, man.
Who?
Suicide.
Well,
It just depends how you do it.
yeah. Well, they
No,
Yeah.
but like if you're gonna like prove a point, you can do a much better job killing people and then
Well,
dying.
he made them believe that like it was some kind of religious.
Yeah, it's like let's kill ourselves and we're going to the
get
afterlife,
to
probably.
God.
Yeah,
I
like.
guess that guy's kind
But
of
it was so
badass,
much
like-
more than just religious. He was like making his own fucking country.
Like, I mean, well, this was what he was telling them, though. Like, but he was doing all sorts of dirty underdealings.
He was absolutely fucking nuts. I always got that Jonestown mixed up with, what was it, Johnstown, Pennsylvania or something, with some flood or some shit like that. So I always got those two mixed up when I was a kid. So I remember someone mentioning the whole Pennsylvania flood or whatever, and I was like, yeah, those people committing suicide.
Because of the flood.
I hate water.
Oh, man.
So it made them so sad.
Oh, but I meant to say earlier when you're talking about your boss trying to recruit you into Christianity again, I had to deal with that so fucking much in high school. Once I stopped going to church and my mom trying to convince me to come to fucking Sunday services. Like how hard it was to... How hard she took that, I guess. My dad didn't really fucking care. But I'm glad that eventually they just gave up, like with everything else. Like with the weed smoking and slight drinking I was doing in high school.
Do they know you still smoke weed?
I don't know.
I think everybody knows.
They've got to know that I still do it every now and again.
Now and again.
Like every 4 hours.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. So, but, you know, I'm fucking 25 years old, so I can do that if I want.
And the world's gonna end in 2012 anyway.
Yeah,
Right?
so,
shut up,
26. No, Brian's right.
No,
It's
that's
true.
incorrect.
No, Brian's right.
What do you mean incorrect?
Like what's happened this year already.
That's not happening.
Well, yeah,
There's
but
not a bunch of events that's gonna lead up to the end of the world.
well, it all has to do
Totally.
with oil. Yes, it does. Totally.
Where's my bike?
Everybody,
Lord.
we're gonna run out of oil, and then everybody's gonna start fighting for oil.
Oh, yeah, I think that shit is, shit's gonna go down in that way. We're gonna have to have a lot of humans die for shit to be sustainable.
That's the only reason we're like hanging out in Syria, dropping bombs, because they got some oil.
It's like,
There's so many other nations we could be freeing, but you know, we got some oil here, so we'll take that one first.
it's, oh yeah. Boy, are you talking about Libya or Syria?
Oh, Libya is what I
Oh,
mean.
yeah.
They're all the same. to
Like,
me.
I don't know, I find it hard to be mad at people bombing Gaddafi's forces.
I'm not mad.
I don't know. I mean, like that you're mad about it, but there are people that are fucking like, kind of pissed off. Like, why are we doing it to this country and not that one? And why are we, help? Like, I guess in Bahrain and everything, there's plenty of government shooting people, but they're still our allies, so we haven't like fucking done anything to
Wait,
them.
who's
I
our
guess.
ally?
Bahrain.
Oh, well, they've been
They're
shooting. Still helping us out.
Yeah, that's why we're kind of turning a blind eye to them shooting their own protesters, but we're
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. There's so many other people that
Yeah.
need to be helped. But
But
honestly, oil is the whole fucking deal right now with the entire world. Seriously, the world is gonna stop when we run out of oil.
I think that shit will definitely
Literally.
go down with probably within the next 20 years. There will be some sort of fucking. I mean, there's got to be a global energy crisis when oil runs out because we haven't really.
There'll be an
Developed
economic
anything
crisis
else.
before that.
And there's gonna be a lot of people are gonna have to die before humans are able to sustain themselves, and then it'll just probably happen again where population will get too big again, and then we'll get wiped out once more, and just over and over again. That's how it's gonna fucking happen.
Well,
I mean, who knows how many this could have happened before? Like we've had the same brain, the same size brain, and the same basic intelligence or capability for intelligence for like tens of thousands of fucking years. So I think it's plenty possible that there have been civilizations that have not risen to our level because we'd probably have some sort of fucking, we'd have some record of that, buried deep down. We would have found some sort of fucking ancient civilization that was fucking crazy developed. But probably people that got to the level of like the 1700s and shit like that, and then could have gotten wiped out. Who fucking knows? Like, there's evidence that stuff like the Sphinx is way older than we ever thought because there's water erosion on it from continuous rainfall, and that hasn't happened in Egypt for like over 10,000 years ago. So that's like, they think the Sphinx is like 4,000 years old or whatever, but really it could be like fucking way older than that, like 6,000 years older than that, 10,000 years older than that. And they don't really know, I guess, exactly how to figure that out, but who knows if there's been people that have risen to a pretty high level, maybe not the 1700s, but risen to a high level of fucking sophistication and then been wiped out because something fucking awful happened. Humans have been around.
Not everybody's gonna die.
No, but hopefully. That's the good thing. Like, if people do get wiped out, I just hope I'm not one of them.
You probably will be, though.
I don't know. We are white American males. I think we're the most protected people on the planet.
I mean, that's true, but, like, you don't have any money.
I have some money.
You don't have,
I have a little
We'll
bit.
need some guns.
Yeah, I know.
I have guns. I have my parents' house. I'll ride my car out to my parents' house, and my brother will
That's
do that.
always been my plan.
And we'll get our guns. And
as soon as shit hits the fan, go hang out with my dad and like
just drive out to
look at
Powhatan.
some ammo and some
Go get our
guns and be
guns.
like, all right,
and
Let's
get out
do
of there.
this.
There's no way anybody else is killing me without me shooting at them.
You gonna go out to Cranberries, Rob? If shit hits the fan?
Cranberry and Rob
Cranberry,
can come over to my place.
Oh, man.
Oh,
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Join Brian and his dad
One
with
to
those
team
guns.
up with.
Neale, just come on out to the suburbs, man. Come on out to Powhatan. We're gonna get our guns. You can use my 22, and you can shoot rabbits with
That's
it.
a bitch
Your
gun.
parents don't live
That's
in
how you shoot
Powhatan.
rabbits with it.
Yeah.
Technically, they do.
I need
Yeah,
a
but it's not
45.
Well, I wasn't saying come on out to Powhatan and
You
hang
said
out at my
Powhatan.
parents' house. I was gonna say we're gonna get our guns and head out to Powhatan.
I need at least a 45.
Yep, we can't be hanging out in the
No.
suburbs. They're gonna
Oh,
come to
yeah,
the suburbs. We gotta go live in the woods.
What you really need is
Who
an
are they?
assault rifle.
I don't
Who
know.
cares?
Whoever's gonna come get us.
Alright.
This is some Red Dawn shit, Rob. The
Red
Russians.
Dawn, the Russians.
What about
The
the
Russians
interdimensional travelers?
When they come, we're all fucked because
No,
can
they're
suck
the
us
ones
right
that
back
are
in.
gonna save us.
You think so?
What if
I
the
think they're gonna
Russians end up
destroy
having
us.
to save us and the tables are
Interdimensional.
The
turned?
Russians
Yeah.
The Russians?
are not gonna save us.
Do you think when
We're
the
gonna be like, we're gonna
interdimensional
take
creatures
this-
come, they're gonna parachute down like in Red Dawn? They're gonna come through a portal and then pull the chutes and then float down.
Were there
That's how I would
portals
do
in
it.
Red Dawn?
No, but that's how the interdimensional creatures are gonna do it.
Parachutes?
Yeah, they're gonna come out of a vortex in the sky, and then they're gonna have to pull their parachutes so they can float down.
No, they're gonna.
That's how
get-
my sci-fi movie's gonna start. These fucking monsters that look like they're from the mist are gonna fucking fall out of the sky and then pull their own parachutes. They're gonna be like, "Wow,"
They-
and they're gonna float down, and they're gonna be like, "Oh my god, they're intelligent. They
There's
have
no way
parachutes.
that would happen.
They're not only terrifying, but they're
Well,
extremely intelligent."
they better not land in the south.
They've
because
mastered. the
people
vortex.
would be shooting at them in the south.
We
That
should
would
make
be
them-
good, though.
That would
That
be
would
a
be
great
lucky
movie.
They
for
need to
us.
land in
That'd
like
be a great movie.
Massachusetts.
That would be a pretty great movie if aliens landed in the South, because they would get
Yeah.
shot.
I know.
Let's do it.
All right, let's definitely do it.
Yeah, we can make that.
Let's all
happen
pull
real
our
quick.
money. I think we can get maybe $300.
Let's look for sponsors.
Yeah.
I've got like negative money right now, so
We need investors.
Investors, how are we going to get investors if we're just sitting around talking about it? We got to have a plan.
Well, our listeners are gonna invest.
Oh,
Hey,
yeah.
Yeah.
all 25 of
Listeners.
you.
Come on, guys.
is that how many people listen to this?
Roughly every time we put one up, it seems like around 20 to 30 plays happen.
We're very
so I figure
grateful.
we have 25
We're grateful
listeners.
for our fans, you know. We
Well,
love
maybe
you
it'll be
guys.
like Family Guy when they're like, "Why didn't you watch in the first place?" And then everybody we'll have to like.
We're
put
not
it-
we're not
you'll
ever
put
going
that
off
on.
the air, dude. We're not Family Guy because we're never losing.
Family Guy is pretty shitty too.
Family Guy sucks.
Yeah,
podcast for
I will watch it, but. You know.
I have
That's the only thing on.
I have to pee,
Yeah,
friends.
watch
So
it.
are we gonna take a break, or are you guys gonna?
I
keep
guess we
jabbing?
should take a little break.
We'll take a break, and we will be back.
And I am Chamberlain.
And we are back on the Park Avenue podcast. Brian got to go to the Final Four with his daddy, Craig. How's Craig doing?
My dad's always awesome, so...
Brian's dad's a stargazer. He's got a cool telescope. I like Brian's dad.
And he's a
got more
pilot.
than one.
He's got several telescopes. And he's got what?
A
What?
pilot.
Oh, yes, he is a pilot.
Now captain.
Pretty cool
Captain,
kind of
oh.
guy.
Oh, Craig!
Good job, Craig.
Yay.
More claps.
He got promoted on his birthday.
Alright!
That's great. I hope they planned it like that. I hope they're like, so his birthday coming up? Yeah, let's promote him then.
No, that's not how it works in a when you have a union. It doesn't even matter how good of a pilot you are. It just matters how long you've been there.
Oh.
Which is kind of the shitty thing about like socialism and stuff like that, because
I guess that's true. People that aren't very good at stuff.
It's hard to replace shitty ones.
Yes, that's true. That
But
needs
it
to be
isn't real.
remediated.
I was watching a documentary about the teachers and the teachers union and what's wrong with our education system, I guess.
but that's an awesome pilot, by the way.
He should be an astronaut.
And
Commercial astronaut.
they were saying a big problem is the teachers union because it doesn't allow them to fire shitty teachers.
Yeah, I know. Because it's all about your fucking rank and your seniority.
Yeah,
The way I see it
if you
is
get
the-
tenure as a teacher,
Yeah,
it's impossible
big
for
time.
you to be fired.
My aunt, who works in the California school system, I was talking to her today, and she was saying that she thinks tenure is a problem. That people, I was kind of surprised to hear her say that, but she was like, people that are really shitty at their job get to stay in their position. So I think that teachers should definitely have unions and strong unions, but they need to fucking fire teachers that are really shitty, or else your union is just promoting bullshit instead of promoting good workers getting paid good wages and getting taken care of. Especially teachers, you can't let shitty people stay as teachers. That's a bad fucking move because they're influencing children, and some of them are really shitty to kids. Some of them are fucking I didn't even
Nice
what are you,
kids?
yeah, what are you doing over
What?
here making music?
Making music.
Some of them are really fucking shitty to kids and mean to kids and put them down and just hate their fucking jobs. Some of them end up fucking stealing. Wasn't there some Spanish teacher at Monacan that...
Yeah, she was my teacher for a day.
I had her one year. I don't remember her name though. She had a lazy eye, right?
What'd she steal?
She overcharged people for their textbooks or something and
What a
then kept the
bitch.
money. Kept
For
the
real?
extra money.
Yeah.
She stole
Monacan?
from children.
Yeah.
You had to buy your textbook at a public school?
It was like a workbook in Spanish. You were supposed to give $12 or something. And
That's
it was
pretty
probably only cost
clever.
$4. That's when I was in middle school.
Nice scheme.
My religions and values teacher
You probably made $200.
my religions and values teacher in middle school at St. Michael's, Mr. Ori Harrison. He did the same type of thing, but on a much bigger scale. He would overcharge. He used to lead these trips to Spain every spring break. Or not to Spain, to Europe every spring break. One of them was to Spain. And they
Private
found
school's
out
a little bit different.
they
though.
found out that he was overcharging everybody for everything on the trip. The bus rides would be $20 a person. He would charge $25. Hotels were $40 a person. He'd charge $45 or something. So just $5 extra for everything from
For every
everybody
kid.
for every fucking thing that we did, and he was getting thousands of extra dollars a year from this fucking trip. And they found out about it, and he went off and was hiding in West Virginia. They arrested him in some motel, I think, in West Virginia or something like that. Everyone thought that he'd run off to Europe because he knew all these languages and knew Europe really well. So they're he's just going to disappear into Europe and never get fucking caught. When I asked Johnny, what happened to him, because I thought, he'd go to jail for years, he was I think he might have, served a few months and then got community service and stuff like that. And I was like, why he stole thousands of dollars over fucking years? Some people get in a lot of fucking trouble for that shit.
That's pretty lucky.
It's amazing the fucking variation in people getting fucked over by the judicial system, doing the same thing as somebody else, and they spend a couple months in jail.
Yeah.
Someone else goes to prison for 5 years or some shit for grand
It's a
larceny or
lot of
some
it
shit.
has to do with your lawyer and what
Yep.
kind of lawyer you can afford.
And I guess what they can prove.
Yeah.
how strong their case is and make a deal with you and be like, all right, just a few months.
Yeah.
That's when you're like, oh, thank God.
I don't know. I mean,
It's
if
so
you have a
crazy.
good lawyer, you can get a pretty good deal for probably almost
Yeah, it's
anything.
funny. You can pay for getting out of trouble.
Yeah.
I guess there was no way for us to, for Brian and I to deny anything that we were charged with. But, like, you know, I feel like a good lawyer should have been like, I want to see the lab work and everything to prove that this was marijuana. And, like, he should have done everything he could have to, like, be like, let's get this kid off. Instead, he was like, can we get him a year on probation, on supervised probation, and then get his record clean? That's what he was like a family friend, and that's what my parents asked him to do, I'm sure. Be like, if there's whatever you have to do to get it expunged from his record, that's what we want to go for. Like, without fucking asking me. Like, I'm glad it's not on my record, of course, but it was like, you know, I feel like my lawyer shouldn't have been so, this is how we should punish him. Because he fucking lectured me when I went to talk to him. He didn't talk to
I
me
got
like,
in an argument with my lawyer.
what was he talking, like?
He was talking about how, like, I was irresponsible, and I was like...
Yeah, that's what my lawyer was saying. Was he a friend of your family's or anything, or was he just some
No.
douchebag? Just
No, it was the guy that has, like, commercials on the radio.
Who
Man.
was it?
Cravens and Knoll.
I'd be like, don't fucking lecture me, asshole. You're my lawyer. Like,
Yeah, what a dildo.
I'm paying you money. You should just
I
be
feel-
on my
I
side.
know, I was like, I've heard this shit a bunch. I don't
Yep.
need to hear it from a guy that I'm paying.
After we got arrested with weed, I had to go see like 3 different people that were some sort of administrator in VCU. And each one of them asked me the same exact question with almost the same wording. So why are we smoking marijuana?
Oh.
I'm like, well, we're not, but we could if you want to. We could we'd certainly do that. We're not smoking marijuana. I smoke weed because it's great. Why do you smoke weed? Is what I should have fucking said. And they're asking me a stupid fucking question like that. Like, and I had 3 different people, you know, going to see like deans of whatever, and then like some like counselor or something through VCU. Like, so how are you dealing with getting arrested? I'm like, well, it's irritating. It's certainly bothering me. I've been kicked out of my dorm and everything, so that sucks. So I'm not going to kill myself or anything. So I had to go through all this bullshit just for having weed on campus. Big fucking deal. I'm in college. Like, my dad was like, I can't believe... My dad was kind of on my side through that whole thing. He was like, I can't believe all the bullshit you've had to go through since you got arrested. I was like, yeah, I know. All the fucking people I've had to go see and getting kicked out of the dorm. He said it was never like that when he went to college. I think he went from like 78 to 82 was when he was in college.
That's pretty
Or maybe
long
81.
time ago.
77 to 81.
He's old.
Yeah, but that, you know, like back in the day, people...
Back
I feel
in the
like,
day, we used to smoke some crack in the back alley.
I feel like when you go to VCU, you
Back
give
in
up
the
the
day.
opportunity to
Not
like
that
go
far back
crazy
in
in
the
your
day.
dorm. When you go to VCU,
Yeah.
you give up the opportunity to go nuts like other college kids get to go
Why?
nuts because there's so much security because it's an inner city campus and they've got to watch out for crazy people just trying to walk into dorms and shit, like raping people and killing people
I think
or whatever.
I think there's a lot of security on a lot of college campuses
Yeah, but when
now
it's-
due to like the shootings.
Oh yeah, probably. But like I remember seeing pictures of other.
Violence is different than drugs.
I remember
Well,
seeing
yeah, I know, but it still causes just security, same amount of security.
when we first went to college. I would see pictures that people put up of like when they were at JMU or Virginia Tech of them like, you know, getting drunk in the bathrooms of the dorms and everything and going. If you did that at VCU, you'd be so fucked. You'd be arrested like immediately. Like you can get away with a lot more on those smaller campuses where they don't have to have like as much security or they're not so fucking stringent with it and everything.
Yeah.
Like when I first got into the dorm, they gave us this little lecture in the common room or whatever on my floor where they were like, and don't think that you can just drink beers in your room because we do the rounds, we walk around the hallways, and we know the difference between a soda can and a beer can. We know what those sound like. And then I found out later...
Sound like
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we know the difference in the sound between a soda can and a beer can when you open them. It's a different sound, so don't think you can get it past us.
Because
And then I
when
find
you open
out...
the beer can, it comes with a woo.
I find out later from Stina that guy that said that and all these other fucking security guards, except for the one that arrested us, are all fucking coming to work drunk and stoned, and that they just bullshit the freshman students like that so they don't have to deal with their bullshit. So they give them these hardcore, badass lectures when they first get there, like, we're gonna get you if you fuck up. And really they're like, I'm stoned right now when I'm giving this fucking lecture. Like, you douchebags.
That's good.
Stina told me she remembered when this is before we really knew each other, we'd only met like once. She remembered the day I got kicked out of the dorm, and my dad was carrying my lockbox out of through the lobby and out the front door, and the water from my GB was pouring out the corner of the lockbox. And I was like, oh my god.
Poured that water out.
I didn't have time. My dad came up to my dorm room with me. I had just gotten kicked out, and he was like, let's get all your stuff out right now. So we go up there, and I pull my lockbox out. He's like, so everything's in there? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, all right, get everything out of there. We'll throw it away. So I'm like, I start to open it up, and I go, can you go out of the room for a minute so I can do this by myself? I don't want you to see this. He goes, what, do you have other drugs in there? You have something worse than marijuana? I go, no, but I've got a lot of stuff in here. And I don't want you to see it. Can you please just go out in the fucking hallway and leave me alone for a minute so I can clear this out? So he goes out in the hallway. I open up the lockbox, and it's just like a fucking, wall of marijuana smell hits you. And
you made your dad carry that.
so I'm starting to clean it. I get out everything that's like, I get out all the weed and like anything else in there I didn't want him to see, and then I called him back in and I was like, can you hold the trash bag while I throw everything into it? And he's like, comes over, holds the bag, and I start pulling out one homemade bong after another. Just 1 2-liter and 1 liter after another. And these homemade, ghetto blasters and everything. And after like the 12th one, literally, he goes, Jesus Christ. And he pours them back into the box, and he goes, just take the whole fucking thing. We're going to take the whole thing. And I'm like, I'm so embarrassed. Because I just pulled so many bongs out of there, and there was still more to go. I was pulling more and more out, like, I've been collecting these for like 2 years in here. And I just took that box of, weed stuff with me to college, all these ghetto blasters and everything. So
Because they're so hard to make.
I know.
Like
no, because I didn't want
Spare
to throw them away because I didn't want my parents to find them in the trash can, so I would just toss them into the lockbox, and then I'd go make another one night because I didn't have the one I'd already made, and I just tossed that one, and they just accumulated. So my dad pours them all back in the lockbox, and he puts it on his shoulder, and we start to walk out. And I notice once we're on the elevator that water's pouring out of the corner of the lockbox over his back, over his shoulder. And I'm like, oh my fucking god,
Dad's getting bong
that's
water
fucking bong
on him.
water. He's got bong water. It's not pouring on him, but he's got the lockbox up on his shoulder, and it's pouring out the back, like right behind him. And we walk through the lobby,
Leaving a trail
and I look
of bong
over,
water.
and I look over, and my dad's in front of me with the water coming out, and I look over and I see Stina looking at me like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, why? What is he getting kicked down? Like, Stina had this confused look on her face, and I look at her and do one of these kind of things because I'm like, oh, well, for people listening, I lifted my shoulders and hands. And, I kind of walk out with my dad just trailing bong water through the lobby. I don't know if he knew. And then when I asked him later, I was like, so what'd you do with it? He's like, I found the nearest dumpster, and I just tossed the whole fucking thing in there. I'm not going to drive around with that.
Yeah,
I was like,
no
oh
shit.
my god. Like, he was so fucking mad. But after that first week or so, then he started to get the only difference between me and you is that you got caught. Like, when I was in college, I did the same thing. It's been, how many fucking years? 30 years, I guess. And he's like, it's been 30 years, but I was the same way. I can't be mad at you. Like, he stood up to my grandparents, supposedly, or stood up for me to my grandparents, supposedly, when my grandfather was like, I'm so disappointed in Tyler. I didn't know he was into that sort of shit. And my dad was like, that's when he said, supposedly that's when he first said the only difference between you and me is that, Tyler got caught. And so that was pretty cool that he said that to my grandparents, because I can picture that scene now. Like, all the family standing around talking about, like, oh, good Tyler turned out to he's a pothead, and he got arrested. Such a disappointment.
It's
Thankfully.
true.
I graduated, bitches. I finally graduated from college. When I think about that sometimes, I get like really fucking excited and I start laughing because I'm like, that's so absurd. I think about the test and the things that I said in some essays where I didn't know what I was talking about, and I was like, I thought I was such a good student when I was growing up. Such a stupid student in college, saying all just ridiculously awful shit all the time in essays that was not correct. And when I think back to my senior seminar class when he fucking gave me that 70 on that 24-page paper I spent all that time on, I just laugh and I go, I graduated anyway, you motherfucker. Give me almost a D on that paper, and I graduated anyway, so fuck you. And I get so happy. I still got to be in that fucking class. And I remember the email he sent me where after I gave my first presentation where we were supposed to tell all the sources that we had found for our paper, and this was probably like 6 weeks in, and I go up and talk about 2 books, and then that's like all I had. So then I get an email later from him where he's like, when you gave your presentation, I thought you were saying there were 2 books that were especially helpful, but I found out later when I saw your bibliography that you only have 2 books. And he had that bolded and underlined and italicized. You only have 2 books. So if you're not going to take this class seriously, you need to withdraw from it and take it again next semester, because I doubt you will be able to catch up if this is your level of commitment. So I write back, I'm graduating at the end of this semester, so I'm not withdrawing from this class. I'm finishing it. I will work harder, but those are the 2 books that I bullshitted something about. Like, I do have other sources, but I didn't put them in there because I haven't put them.
Wikipedia?
I used Wikipedia a whole fucking lot in that paper.
Oh, God.
And then what I did was I then went back into this other...
You should have used Wikipedia's...
Here's the funny thing.
Wikipedia references this shit. All you have to
used
put is
Wikipedia
references.
Well, here's what that's what I ended up doing, because I looked at one reference from it, and it was this website that was like Irish political history, and it had everything I was looking for basically in one web page, just in this huge timeline. So I went to that, and I referenced that like fucking 25 times in my paper, and he wrote in my first draft that he couldn't believe I was using one source so heavily, and that it was a source from 1920, and that I needed to find something more current if I was to be taken seriously or something like that, and that it wasn't acceptable. And I laughed when I read that. I said, you should have seen the real source, motherfucker. Wikipedia. If you want to be mad, you should have seen where I really got all this information.
You better send some money to Wikipedia, dude.
Yep. Oh, maybe that's why I got such a bad grade on the paper. Rob knows I worked my ass off on that paper. Just on work alone, you should get like at least a C+ on papers that big. If you actually write 24 pages and it's well written and actually on topic, then your teacher should be like, just give them a B. They obviously work their ass off, so what more do you fucking want?
Yeah.
You know, you're not a fucking professor. You're not a scholar.
That's pretty difficult.
You got other shit too. You know, it's not like you get, all right, here's 9 weeks or whatever. I guess 18 weeks or whatever. Semesters, not quarters. But here's your 18 weeks, and you have to write a 20 to 40-page paper in this time, plus your other 4 or 5 classes and your job. It's fucking bullshit. So, I don't know. I feel like my paper was pretty good, but I got a 70. But so fuck that guy. So when I'm at work, usually I'll sit there and think about how I graduated and just start laughing. Because I feel like I just stayed long enough where it had to happen eventually, I think. 6 fucking years.
Yeah. Anyway.
Oh, well, I gotta get to the Squirrels game soon, fellas.
I guess we want to wrap it up.
We're gonna wrap it up with a bow. I'll put a bow in it, Robert.
All right.
So thank you, Rob, for being here again.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Brian, for your first appearance on the Park Avenue podcast. Thanks, Tyler. Thank you.
Thanks,
Neale.
Have a good afternoon.
Good night.
Bye.
Good morning.